YouTube, what the immense Grom de Ponch crap is going on? HeirofCarthage here, and yes, we do have Grom de Ponch. Where's the Grom de Ponch campaign? I'll gut you and feed you. I know, I'm in trouble. I haven't done enough Grom campaign. I haven't quit the Grom campaign. I've just been busy recording other stuff. It will continue, folks, I promise. Unfortunately, we have news from Creative Assembly today that makes it known that I have plenty of time to finish the Grom de Ponch campaign before the next DLC comes out. So I will be finishing Grom, so don't worry. But anyway, until then, maybe some of this immense Grom action will tide you over until we get to the appropriate return of the Grom campaign. Okay, and this is going to be a fun one. It's going to be Tomb Kings versus Grom and his goblins. And yes, it is an appropriate Grom army with all goblin units. There are 5 units of goblin spears. There's a couple of goblin wolf chariots. Of course, we mentioned his immense self, Grom de Ponch here. He is the best, in case you were wondering, and the biggest. And we do have some goblin archers, and we've also got 3 Doom Diver catapults, along with a couple of fanatic units, including the 8 Peak Loonies and the Warlord's boys, so quite a few of them. We also have a Gobbo Shaman back here with Vindictive Glare and Sneaky Stabbin', along with a Wand of Jet to get him some more summons. As for the Tomb Kings, up front there are 2 units of Tomb Guard, which will provide a pretty stout line against any Goblin infantry, that's for sure. And then we have some Skelly Spears on the flanks. There are 2 units of Skeleton Archers, and then a 3rd in the form of the Blessed Legion here. Archon is here. He has his Tomb Blade to summon skeletons. He's got the Liber Mortis, and he's got this, I always forget the name of this one, Staff of Nagash here to replenish his magical reserves. There are some Nehekara horsemen supporting a couple of Shabti with Great Bow, and then we have a Casket of Souls, and hidden way off in the woods over here is a Tomb Scorpion. So there is a Tomb Scorpion waiting to have its opportunity to come in. It sat back to start with, I'm assuming maybe to try and avoid being a target of opportunity. Speaking of targets of opportunity, I was excited to show you all this battle because I actually had a comment not too long ago that was like, would Doom Diver catapults counter different Tomb King artillery? And I think specifically they mentioned Shabti with great bows. That's a good point. We'll see here. Doom Diver catapults are relatively affordable, especially when you're picking an all-goblin army. It depends on what kind of greenskin army you pick. They have nice long range, and they do pretty good armor-piercing damage, and they track in on a target. I say long range, 400. It's not the longest range, but it's pretty good. Puts you in a good position. And you can see here that in numbers against a single casket, they're going to do great. They're going to have to spend a lot of ammo to kill this casket because it's a relatively small single entity target. But it just goes to show you that, again, in numbers, they can do this job quite nicely. I think if there was more than one casket, the casket would pretty easily put the Doom Diver catapults underground, because you can see even here with just a couple of hits, it did some pretty serious damage. Look at this Vindictive Glare here, going for Archon early. It's the Night Goblin Shaman. Don't underestimate the Greenskin's ability to put some range damage down, because they certainly can, and especially with their light cavalry being what it is. So I would never underestimate them. So anyway, the Casket of Souls goes down. The Tomb Kings are going to push forward, assuming to get their Shabti with Great Bow and other units into better range. These Shabti have spent a pretty considerable portion of their ammunition already. And I think we have to assume it was probably spent on Goblin Wolf Chariots over here, and possibly some of these other units that have taken damage. But, I mean, I don't think spending it on a Goblin Wolf Chariots is worth very much. This is a good target right here. This Gobbo Big Boss gets absolutely shellacked by the combination of missile fire here. And he's thinking he's going to go for an assassination run on Archon, but that is not going to happen. But it does at least give Grom the ability to come in from the flank relatively unscathed, when the Shabti with Great Bow definitely should have been focused on Grom. That is where you would want to start taking the shots. The Doom Diver catapults have turned their attention over to the Shabti with Great Bow, where they're actually quite effectively damaging it. They're not really quickly killing unit models, I think more like what a cannon would do. But eventually they do start killing the unit models. So you're seeing that drop in here. Look at that. They've already lost a few unit models, and that means that those are taking ammunition with them. The Greenskins are going to go ahead and run an attack. Over here, we've got a Spirit Leech on Grom and a Liber Mortis, but then there's also, Liber Mortis, and then we're going to see an Itchy Nuisance dropped in here, and Grom is doing some fantastic damage. He hurt Archon bad, and he was able to also hold Archon still And in this blob, the Doom Divers actually started somewhat shooting an Archon, and they caused a lot of damage to him because he was sitting still. And then also they hit some of this cavalry and other units that were in here. Grom is getting some good damage done, though he is taking some. But remember that Grom can heal when he gets out of the fight. He can keep healing. The Goblin Assault on the Tomb Guard is not going particularly well. This Wah that's popped here will help. And remember with Wah, it's extra damage, melee attack, and weapon damage across the board. Armor piercing and standard. Dang, see the Ushabti with Great Bow getting owned by the Doom Divers. Doom Divers are not to be underestimated, I don't think. They're a great tool, especially if you're working an all-goblin army, but if you're using the wider availability of greenskin troops, they're still great because they give you a range that sometimes people tend to forget about. There are cases where they won't be great, like a Goblobber is going to trade fantastic with a Doom Diver because it'll destroy its leadership really quick. But I, again, wouldn't underestimate these units. Look, one of them is kind of focused on Archon, as well as some hits from the Gabo Great Shaman of the Vindictive Glare, and they managed to get rid of him. He's crumbling at this point and under fire, and so Archon the Black is going to go down partly as a result of the Doom Divers, as well as the Casket, as well as these Ushabti. So are Doom Divers potentially effective against these types of targets? I think the answer is clearly yes. Yes, they are. Vindictive Glare is another thing that I wouldn't underestimate. Some of it hit the ground right there, or else it would have done even more damage, but Vindictive Glare is very good. I've even seen the dreaded double Gabo Shaman, where you can double up the Vindictive Glare, and it is pretty damaging in the right situations. It can be very dangerous, in fact, if your Lord is somewhat susceptible to that Vindictive Glare, in terms of being a relatively easy target. One of the Ushabti with Great Bow was able to fire all its ammunition, but look at that, it didn't quite get a chevron. So I really think that Grom not being the target of more of these Ushabti was a big mistake. He's got 100 kills now, by the way. He's going to plow through the Blessed Legion here and then just kind of probably stay on the move to stay ahead of these summoned Ushabti. And these Ushabti with Great Bow are probably going to want to fight him. And look at this, though. It allows these Night Goblin fanatics to get in here and start to silence this Blessed Legion. It's going to force the Great Bows to engage. I think this is the 8-peak loonies. Indeed it is. So you can see the Goblin fanatics here releasing their fanatics. I don't know how much damage they did. The Tomb Scorpion now the recipient of fire from the Doom Divers, and finally one of the Doom Divers runs out. It had a chevron and close to a half. This one has 2 chevrons when it runs out of ammunition, 2.5 almost, and then we have nearly a chevron on this one. So all of those Doom Divers paid some big dividends here for the Goblins, and you can see now the leadership for the Tomb Kings is gone, and Grom's immense power and a large size carried the day. So just remember that, folks. When you pick the biggest lord and the best lord, then you win. It's as simple as that in Warhammer 2. Just pick Grom and you win. Okay, lame jokes aside, let's get in and talk a little bit about this. So Grom ended up doing a fantastic job on this battle. He tanked a lot of damage, did get damaged pretty badly, but managed to get loose and be able to continue to survive to help support the leadership. The Doom Divers were an absolutely clutch pick here. They did tremendous damage to the Tomb Kings, and so for the question that I received in the comments, I don't remember the name of the viewer who asked it, but yes, Doom Divers appear to be a potential counter to Tomb King's range when you're playing as the Greenskins. In this case, in order to afford enough Doom Divers, the player went with mostly Goblin units. This is one way you could go. You can see that the Goblin infantry did struggle against a lot of the Tomb King infantry, which is weird. Usually Tomb King infantry is the one struggling, but there was enough of them that it created a real problem. And so I thought this was a really fun battle between Zero, and I'm just going to call him Soccer here, because I don't know how to pronounce all the rest of it. But so between Zero and Soccer is a great match. Thought both players had some good moments here. I think the Ushabti with Great Bow, though, in the end, really needed to be focused on Grom the Paunch. He's a big target, understandably. I do think he has some missile resistance, but that's got to be where the focus is at. When you're up against a greenskin army, is you got to get rid of their leader. There was some spirit leeching from Archon, which was good, and I think Archon tried to use his support abilities, but he stayed too close to Grom for too long. You don't want Archon in that kind of fight. You want to pull him back and let him continue to do the work that he needs to. In the end, I mean, the Tomb Kings just, they threw their Nehekara horsemen into some of those fights, and they just did not have a good answer to the the Doomdiver catapults. I feel like that Nehekara horseman should have been pulled away from the combat it was in, run around the flank, and it needed to go put some pressure on the Doomdivers. The Doomdivers were just causing too much damage to leave them be. So anyway, in that case, that's what I think of this one. I thought it was fun. Thank you to Zero for submitting and Soccer for playing. Also, if you have cool replays, go on to my Discord. Join the Discord, first of all. It's a fun place to be. It's a good place to talk about games, find people to game with, whether it's Total War or Squadrons or other things that are going on. A lot of awesome people there to connect with. You should come join it. But feel free to submit your replays. I'd love to see it. I'm playing some of my own. I'll have some of those for you soon that are coming from my stream. We've been playing some 1v1 battles there too, and I had some good ones both weeks that we did it recently. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed this. If you did, as always, if you want to support, leave a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment if you want to talk about it. All those things help me a great deal. And if you want to see more, of course, make sure you're subscribed and you hit that stupid YouTube bell that we all hate. In any case, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. See you soon.